Welcome to the If I Had More Time podcast at Mariners Church. This podcast series invites you into a casual conversation with our senior pastor, Eric Geiger, and our teaching team to hear a few helpful insights and truths they wish they had time to include in the weekend message. Be sure that you have listened to this weekend's message prior to listening to the podcast so you get the most out of our current series. We hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for tuning in for the If I Had More Time podcast today. I'm so happy to be here with Eric and Kaye Geiger. Kaye's here because it's Mother's Day weekend, of course.
My baby's mama's. No, my baby's mama.
Yeah.
That
Baby's-
mama's. Single
One
mom.
mom. One mom.
I have one mom.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever said that before.
It just came out. I have no
you
idea what
never
I was
called her
saying.
your baby mama?
I've
That might be the right way to say it.
Baby mama.
but you're my baby's mama.
There's two.
I have two babies.
Okay,
Eden and
okay,
Nebby.
that's good.
You're my baby's mama.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Perfect. New nickname here, baby mama. So glad that you're here, Kaye.
Thank
He
you.
won't be the only one to call you that, we assure you.
Yes.
It was a really special weekend, though. An amazing message that we're going to get to talk about in a little bit. But we started out with some really exciting announcements
Yes.
that we just wanted to take some time to celebrate again. Incredible outreach announcement.
Mhm.
We're so proud of you guys.
Yes.
So proud of our church.
Yes.
What a
It is to know that we were part of taking the gospel to the Middle East and that people jumped in, and I'm so, to echo what you said, Liz, I'm so proud that our people were. You can be inspired to give to a lot of things, but to know that you're taking the gospel to people groups that have never heard the gospel before, and coming alongside our partners
That's
around
right.
the globe, just massive. I'm so thankful because we already have started wiring money to them, and they are overjoyed. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. And it's not just to anybody, it's to our global family.
Yes.
People that we know, people we have
We
a
trust
relationship
them.
with, trust them
Yes.
so much.
They
Yeah.
are high integrity. They have high passion and heart for the people they serve.
Mhm.
So we feel really confident in who we're giving the resources to.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys have recently just taken a faith adventure
Yeah.
together with your family. Is
Yeah,
that
to
right?
Uganda.
'Cause you mentioned it also
Yes.
in the sermon. Kaye, you were there.
It was so awesome.
So beautiful.
She loved the whole thing. I mean, she
I
loved
did. I
the
loved the
Loving
whole
Hearts
thing.
Baby Home,
Yep.
the
Yep.
being able to put those wheelchairs together. But you also loved the safari. That was like you have dreamed of that your whole life.
That's true. I mean, there were multiple things on the trip that I just keep telling everyone, I don't want to ever go on another faith adventure without teenagers. They make it so much better. And kids.
Oh,
They
so
make
fun.
it so much better.
Mm.
But I loved Loving Hearts Baby Home. She's going to hold all the babies, like the pictures you showed on the service. And then putting together and putting people in wheelchairs who've never been able to. It's really one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life.
Oh my goodness. Tell us about that. What was that?
We partnered with,
So there's a church we work with there called Gaba Community
Yep.
Church, and they have local partners, and one of them,
Pastor Francis.
Pastor Francis, has Father's Heart Mobility.
That's it.
He's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
His whole
He had polio when he was a child.
yes, as it's,
And then ended up in a wheelchair. But what's really cool is the wheelchairs that we put together come from an elder in our church started an organization called Free Wheelchair Mission, which I've always been super intrigued by. And so he started that, and the wheelchairs we were putting together in Uganda
right.
are from Free Wheelchair
Yeah.
Mission.
Incredible.
I know, so cool.
So really, we have a relationship with Gaba Community Church.
Yeah.
I got to teach there. Pastor
Incredible.
Peter, everybody who has been to Uganda knows him, loves him. So it's with Gaba. It's also with Father's Heart Mobility, and that's Francis, who people in our church love him. His whole family's amazing.
Yeah.
And then it's Free Wheelchair Mission. Don in our church launched that organization, that ministry, years ago, and so it was really cool to see all these partners come together in that one day.
Yeah.
And to see people, as Kaye was saying, who don't have. I mean, there's people who crawled there
Wow.
Yeah.
to then get a wheelchair, so they would have the gift of mobility, so they could
Yeah.
Exactly.
could move. So
How
that was one of the
dignified.
days.
But have you ever been on a safari, Liz?
I have not been on a safari.
I mean, I want to go on another one. I've already told Eric. I mean, it was so awesome.
You're going to have to go far, I think, to go on one.
I know.
I think safari was awesome. I am in awe, but at the same time, I mean, after a certain number of hours, every
No.
lion looks. I mean, every
Don't agree.
Every buffalo looked the same.
No. Now,
The buffaloes look the same after a while, baby. And I love beauty. After a while,
I did not get tired of it.
I wasn't tired of it. I'm just saying, we had to fly I hate flying, as you know. We had to fly on this really tiny,
Got it.
tiny plane.
See, context is helpful here.
Oh my gosh,
Yep.
to get to this safari
Oh,
place.
yeah, Eric could touch the pilots.
Oh my gosh. And it was really nice
Yeah.
because he would tell me, we're about to come up with some turbulence. And he just would turn around. I'm like, no, hands on the wheel. Hands on the wheel, sir.
Eyes on the road.
And I took a nap. It was that was fun.
Goodness.
But just
It's amazing.
seeing the animals in their natural habitat, and it just gave me like this.
San Diego has an amazing zoo as well. No, I'm joking. The safari was awesome. So I am joking.
Just as
I'm
another
joking.
reminder of God's
Creativity.
bigness and
Yes.
creation,
Yes.
And it really is. And
That's-
there's a lot of lessons, like the buffalo story from the sermon.
which
Yes.
was such a good lesson.
There's a lot of
Yes.
lessons that you see in God's general creation.
Yeah,
I can't wait to dig into that more. Just suffice it to say, I'm thankful you guys got to share just a little bit about your
it's so
trip.
fun.
It was an amazing weekend last weekend, seeing all those partners come together. And again, we're so proud of you guys for surpassing that goal.
Yes.
And there's still
Thank
so
you.
many other ways they can get involved too. There are
Yeah.
other faith adventures for people to get plugged into, and other ways you can stay connected with our partners. So check out all those things on our website. Just
And we
because.
also announced 2 new congregations.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. I cannot miss the opportunity to celebrate that too. I'm so excited.
Yes,
So
we already
excited.
have the lead pastors hired for both of those congregations. So this summer we'll start building the staff teams, and then this fall we'll build the volunteer teams that will launch those congregations, and then we'll launch in January is the plan.
Yes,
Oh, it's so exciting.
it really
So
is.
exciting.
Eric, can you share for just a minute? I mean, why multiplication? Why do we keep launching new congregations?
There are.
I asked that like I'm skeptical about it, and it didn't mean to come out like that. I
You're
am
not
so
skeptical.
excited about
Hey,
this.
Eric, why? Why are we doing
Why
this?
are we doing this?
Yeah.
No, I want everybody else to hear from
Yeah.
your heart as our pastor. I mean,
Yeah.
you have such a conviction about this that's inspired so many of us. So I'd love for them to get to hear your heart.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the counties in Southern California and the cities within those counties. So LA County, 88 different cities. Orange County, 32 different cities. San Diego County, less cities in Orange County, but a little bit more population. So larger cities. And because you have San Diego has a San Diego proper. Orange County, 34 cities without a city. The largest city in Orange County is Anaheim at 330,000. If I'm saying the wrong numbers, I don't have any spreadsheet in front of me. I'm just going off memory. So
Right.
so be forgiving on that. Compared to San Diego itself, which is one of the largest cities, it's like a top 25 city in America. So I mean that's a lot bigger than Anaheim, right? So San Diego County, even though less cities, bigger than Orange County. Okay, all that said, there's a lot of cities. And when you read the book of the book of Jonah about the city of Nineveh, you find that the last verse in Jonah, and it's Jonah chapter 4, is a question. And the reason, it's really a literary device where God's inviting the reader to ponder the question. And the question that God asked Jonah is, you cared about this plant that I caused to rise and then die. Why should I not care for the great city of Nineveh? There's 120,000 people there who don't know their right hand from their left hand. So God was really passionate for one city with 120,000 people. You look at Anaheim. Anaheim's almost 3 times the size of Nineveh.
Yeah.
There's a whole book in the Bible about God sending a prophet named Jonah to Nineveh. God didn't need Jonah. He could have done what he wanted to do in Nineveh without Jonah, but God delighted in using Jonah. And God delights in using us. We're surrounded by cities that are larger than the city that Jesus referenced in the New Testament, referring to the great revival that happened in Nineveh. So God cares for these people. He cares for cities because a bunch of people live in cities. He cares for cities because in those cities, people who are in need and are vulnerable often will go to a city because of the haven that a city provides people at times. So we want to care for cities and the people in those cities because God cares. And while there is a Southern California culture, there's also distinct cultures within all of these cities. And we want to see the gospel impact those unique places. And we're obviously not the only church, not even close. And we're just one expression of the Church of Jesus in Southern California. But we are an expression of the church, and we want to do our part and take the church and the gospel to different to different cities. And both of the new cities that we're going to, we believe that God cares for those people, and we want to be a part of seeing God do his gracious work there.
That's right. That's right.
As you're talking, I just keep thinking, I just can't believe we get to be a part of this.
It's really beautiful.
It just doesn't get old, you know?
I know. I keep thinking about all of the stories that God is beginning to write right now for families. There are families right now in Anaheim, in Lake Forest, that are looking for a church, looking for somewhere to find hope. And Mariners Church, by God's grace, will be moving into the community soon, and many people will find hope and community. And we bring the whole loop too. We have the transformational loop, which is our strategy for discipleship, and that means outreach is going to be there too.
That's right.
And that's normally one of the first things that we get going once we move into a city.
We're already evaluating what needs are in those cities that we can be we aren't the sole answer by any stretch, but how can we come alongside what God's doing in those cities and help?
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh man, all of this was before the message even started. We got two massive things before we.
It might have been. I know we spent a lot of time so far on this podcast, but it might have been one of the weekends. And I've been here, almost 6 years now. We don't really do a lot of announcements. I just get up and preach. This was a pretty significant weekend in terms of things we announced.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really thankful. So excited. Lots of great things to come.
Totally.
Too. So it was an amazing message. I really enjoyed this passage, a peculiar passage for Mother's Day.
Yes.
Most definitely. Did you print out that card for Kaye for Mother's Day?
You're my mom, but a bunch of other people are mom too. But it is fascinating because Jesus is talking to his mom. It's a conversation he has with his mom. And we're in the teaching series, What Would Jesus Say? We can see what actually did Jesus say to his mom. It can sound dishonoring, but it's actually really honoring for us because he's including us in a relationship with himself.
Yeah.
I really loved at the beginning of the message how you started off with, because we're in that season right now where we have, our daughters are teenagers. And Eric, you probably remember this, but no, there's no doubt you remember this. But I had in those hard years, I had such a fear of what if they grow up and don't like me at all? Like what if, I had this fear of us not having a great relationship. Do you remember me saying that like a million times?
Which her daughters adore. So this is kind of funny.
But it's getting better. But
it's still a real fear.
I loved at the beginning how you talked about the relationship Jesus had with his mom.
Yeah.
And you pointed out all those different things. I just think that's like I had never really thought about it. He's 30 and he's at the wedding and she's there.
He's hanging out at a wedding with his mom when he's 30.
Yeah.
So he's not the teenage years when some teenagers, I'm grateful ours aren't this way, where they want their friends to not even think they have a mom.
Right.
Right. Like you just existed, like you had no mom.
Yeah.
Jesus is hanging out with his mom when he's 30. So he's respectful towards his mom.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned the one of the last things that he one of his last kind of wishes, like your last willing testament kind of thing was for John to take care of. Was it John?
Yep.
For John to take care of his mom.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which one of our kids do you think will take care of us?
I mean, I'm not going to say I know exactly which one, but I'm not saying.
I know exactly which one too.
I don't
curious.
listen to it.
Good to know you guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
We don't all need to know.
No, we both know.
We know exactly which
we
one.
both know.
Oh my goodness. I hope the other one proves you guys wrong. Okay. You guys mentioned, or sorry, Eric, you mentioned just the enjoyment of the things of this world, like ice cream and like relationships, and how that points to a greater, deeper, richer enjoyment of things to come. And on a previous podcast, I know Kaye's mentioned that she doesn't like the part about the marriage, being just a picture here on earth and not for eternity.
A sign for something else.
Yes. We humbly accept that one though, and we are grateful for our call. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was interesting, and it reminded me a little bit about a misconception that I even had early on in my walk with Jesus, of this idea of being a Christian and being able to enjoy things, and just I thought for a time I had to sell all my belongings and take a vow of poverty and suffer in order to glorify God. But really what you're saying is we can really enjoy things that this world offers.
And we should enjoy them more than someone who doesn't know Christ, because we recognize that they point to something deeper and better. So ice cream, obviously we should enjoyed in moderation. But the black raspberry chip from
That
Grater's
made me
ice
want
cream.
it so
Oh
badly.
my gosh. Don't you remember when we used to get it in
Yeah.
Cincinnati? And
Yes.
sometimes they'd have just those massive chips.
We would fight over who got the biggest chunk of chocolate.
Oh, so good.
I just tried this flavor like last week.
good.
Black
the
raspberry
first
chip?
time. Yes.
From where?
My friend bought it at like a Gelson's. They have
Raiders?
they
Yeah,
have them
you
at
can.
Gelson's.
Eric,
I don't need to know that. That's
I
not
know.
good for me to
I
know
already
that.
know.
I have
did
a
know.
friend. She's from Ohio,
Yes,
and she has
that's where
told
it's
me
from.
all
That's
about
where it's
it.
from.
Yes, and I tried it.
It's
It is
so
purple,
good.
man. That's the
It's
purplest
it's
ice cream
so
I've ever
rich.
had. Yeah.
So good.
Oh man. So, but I should enjoy that more than a non-Christian because the non-Christian, the enjoyment ends when the ice cream ends. For a Christian, the enjoyment, I can taste the ice cream and then realize, hey, there's a verse in the Bible that says, my soul satisfied as with the richest of foods. God is the one who satisfies my soul. So obviously there are some things in the culture that we can't embrace because they aren't blessings, they're distortions from God. So you couldn't go and use illegal drugs and say I'm enjoying a blessing. That's not a blessing. That's like a distortion and wrong. But there are things that are blessings.
That's a good clarification, honestly.
Yeah, it's not everything in the world, but the things that are there's a verse that God causes the sun to rise on the righteous and the unrighteous.
Mm-hmm.
So the non-believer and the believer can both enjoy a beautiful sunset, can both enjoy a day at the beach, but the believer should actually enjoy it more because the believer knows this actually points me to something much more, that one day this is going to be even better, that I'm going to have everlasting life.
Yeah.
I think the question, and because I had the same thing when I first became a Christian, and there really is even debate still. You could on a spectrum say there's the poverty gospel, and then on the other side the prosperity gospel. Yeah. And so the poverty gospel would be, for me to grow, I have to suffer. I have to be impoverished. I have to go through so much pain. There should only be weeping and mourning. And there's verses that say weep and mourn over your sin. You can find verses for the poverty gospel, right? And then there's the other side is prosperity gospel, which would be, if you're really growing, then everything's awesome in your life. You've got all of these amazing blessings of health and wealth. And so if you have anything happening wrong in your life, something's wrong on you because God only wants to hook you up and you just haven't received it yet because you're not ready for it. If you make yourself ready, you'll be able to receive it. All right. The problem is with both of those, right. They are on the different sides, but they're equally wrong because in both of those, the focus is on you.
That's
yes.
right. That's right.
On poverty, it's about I'm doing this. I'm making myself suffer. And on prosperity, I'm the one who is thinking the right thoughts and manifesting the things into my life and claiming these things. It's both also an overall distortion of what the scripture teaches. So here's the reality. In life, you are going to have both. You're going to have blessings and suffering. You're going to have both. Jesus says you're going to suffer, but take heart, I've overcome the world. At the same time, there are beautiful blessings that he gives. And so what the mature Christian perspective is that Jesus is good in both.
Yeah.
He's better than the blessings, and he sustains me in the sufferings. When there's blessings, I enjoy them, and they point to something deeper. When I'm suffering, he's still good. That's the right perspective to have. Yeah, it's a whole other sermon if I had more time.
Totally another sermon. I think I was. This is a little bit of a different turn on it, but I just have always loved being a teacher, and Eric's heard me say this before too. But I really do feel like it was a gift from God to get to teach, and. What?
I spit on myself, not because you said anything wrong.
Eric, I forgot to tell you last night, I spit on the iPad at the class and it quit working.
Wow, that was that was a big spitball there, baby.
Yeah, the really nice tech mic. He was like, I think it's the moisture on the screen. And I was like, he meant spit. Anyway.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Teaching. So, I've always really loved teaching. Like, I like the way the school smells. I like cafeteria food. I like
Hold on.
kids.
She does.
I do.
Cafeteria
And she
food.
likes the way school smells. I've heard her say this for years.
I do.
Never heard
I
someone say-
really,
You really were called to be a teacher. That's
I
amazing.
really believe it's a gift from God.
Yeah.
Like I
That's true.
really,
Yeah.
I do believe that. Like I think that not that every day is like perfect and easy, but I do think those things are a gift. You know, same as our kids. I mean, I think that we can enjoy our kids and realize they're a gift from God, even though it's not always going to be perfect, but they're a gift. They're His good gift to
That's
us.
right. That's beautiful. You also shared that really compelling visual of the buffalo that you started to talk about that Kaye loved. Kaye really enjoyed the buffalo much.
Didn't you think it was fascinating that that was the most dangerous animal?
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
They're also super ugly, but it was fascinating
Not
to me.
created in the image of God. Created by God, but not in the image of God.
So we can say they're ugly.
I mean,
I mean, they are. So what I thought was fascinating about it was I've never heard that before. I've never heard that before, but it is true. We would see these massive herds. I think they are referred to as herds, and then you would see one lone one, And then as he explained that, I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was running out of time on the message because he actually also said that they are the most dangerous.
Wow.
Did.
Dangerous to themselves.
Yep.
Dangerous to others. They
But as a herd, like whenever they're all together.
The person who leaves is the most dangerous.
Oh.
The one who's by himself is the most dangerous to himself. Who will put himself in vulnerable positions. Most dangerous to other people. Crazy, prideful, angry. I mean, all of these horrific characteristics.
Yes, he's the one that's most likely to attack like a guide or something like that.
Destroy himself, destroy others.
But
just a miserable person.
But he's also the one that's most likely to get attacked by the lion.
That's right.
So isn't that interesting?
Interesting.
There's a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
So you pull out of the community.
Yeah.
You're most destructive to other people.
Yeah.
You're most destructive to yourself. And you have essentially said, I don't want to submit to the ruler of the family.
So that word submit is what I want to talk about.
Right.
I think that's not a word that people like to talk about.
Not in America.
Yeah. The word submit, it scares us. We don't want anything to be our Lord,
Right.
Why is that? But then also, what's on the other side of that? What do we get with
I
submission?
mean, chief value in America, according to Alexis Tocqueville, who researched America in the 1830s and wrote the first sociological book that's still studied today called Democracy, said that one of the values in America was individualism, and he thought it was awesome. But he said, unchecked, it's gonna wreak havoc on a society. So, I mean, we grew up, if those of us who are in the States listening to this, we grew up not even realizing how individualistic our society is.
Yeah.
We are highly individualistic. And Tocqueville said there's some great things from that, but there's also some damaging things. So think of that buffalo who pulls away from the tribe.
Yeah.
And so submit, it rubs so much against or pushes so much against an individualistic perspective or an individualistic culture. Think about all of the cliches, you be you, it's my life,
Independence. I don't need anybody. I don't need anything.
The promotion of self is so prominent in our culture. And we actually think that that is the ultimate way to be happy. But we continue to get more selfish and happiness continues to go down. So happiness is on this massive decline, according to sociological studies, and yet independence is on the rise. Yeah. So independence goes up, happiness goes down. So Jesus invites us to deny ourselves and follow him. I mean, that's what he says when he invites us to himself. Mark 8, verse 34. If anyone comes after me, he must deny himself, pick up his cross, and follow me. So the invitation to become a Christian is an invitation to die to yourself and submit to Jesus.
Yeah.
And then you find out when you do that life is way better when he's in charge of your life. I mean, let's be honest. We're the ones who make the biggest messes of our lives. Augustine, the early church father, said, "What am I without you, God, but a guide to my own demise? So I lead myself to my own destruction." So Jesus' invitation to submit, we first hear it, it sounds like I'm gonna rule you and reign over you. But then you really find out it's a very gracious invitation.
It's a very loving invitation.
Yes.
And it's the same way it's used with like wives submit to your husbands. I mean, it's like that same. Not that we want to talk about that much, but
Hey, baby, you brought it up.
But I mean, it's the same thing. It's a gracious calling. You know, I mean, it's a kind and gracious calling when you read it in the full context.
Yeah.
Because you're also then reading that, and then husbands love your wives
That's
as
right.
Christ loved the church.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it's a beautiful relationship. And so to make that comparison,
Yep.
of course I want to follow Jesus
Exactly.
because he loves me, gives himself for me,
Yes.
doesn't manipulate me, doesn't shame me,
Yeah.
never takes advantage of me, only, wants what's best and good and pure for me. And so in a marriage, a husband who serves his wife that way,
Yeah.
the wife, they want to be connected
Exactly.
in that loving way.
Yeah. I think for me, anytime I'm struggling with submission to any area of my life, I can trace it back to pride every time.
Yep.
I mean, it's just that I'm loving something more than I'm loving Jesus, and that something is myself. So I think it's just it just can be traced back, and it's a humbling thing to realize, wow, I tried that and it didn't work.
Yeah. And to follow that metaphor with the buffalo farther, whenever they are in that herd, you are safe, right? And
Right.
you do reap benefits of being in the safety, the protection, even provision of some kind. I'm sure it's much easier to hunt and be able to eat whenever you're in the herd.
And Eric, do you remember them saying, this was interesting to me too, that they sleep out in the open when they're in a large herd like that?
Wow.
So it's just like a total peace.
Because
I
they're
mean,
at such...
they're safe.
Yeah, so we hear the lions are the king of the jungle, but these guys and gals, I was saying guys collectively, this herd is so safe that they sleep with no fear out in the open because
come on.
because there's
Together.
still me layers here.
Together. As long as they're together.
I could do a whole sermon on the buffalo. Wouldn't that have been an amazing Mother's Day sermon? Hey,
For me, it would
That's
have been
Father's
so
Day.
perfect.
Let's put that on the Father's Day graphic.
welcome to Mom's Day weekend. We're going to talk about the buffalo all day.
It was an amazing message. It really was. I'm so grateful, and what a powerful picture of what it means to be in the family of God.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. Kaye, thank you so much for
Thanks,
joining
baby.
us.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day,
Happy
Kaye.
Mom's Day.
You're an amazing
This
mom.
was one of your Mother's Day gifts right here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to publicly say Happy Mother's Day, so I brought you on the podcast to tell you Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the If I Had More Time podcast. Thanks for joining us today on the If I Had More Time podcast hosted by Mariners Church. We hope to see you next weekend at any of our congregations across Southern California or online. To view our service times at each congregation, be sure to check out our website at marinerschurch.org.